Shawan, I'll tell you, if there's one person here who knows everything about Param Singh, who's been reporting on Param Singh for over a decade now, that's Shawan. Shawan, this hopefully brings to an end a chapter which we all want to forget, which of course, like one officer who was just speaking to us on the phone called a disgrace. Shawan, over to you. How are you reading this?
Well, in fact, Niranjan, I'm broadcasting from right inside the police headquarters, the same very place where we have seen how multiple people have been targeted over the last couple of months. Now, what's very important to point out here is that...
Go on, Shawan. You're inside the police compound. Go ahead.
Niranjan, there's some sort of movement happening. I think it does appear that Param Singh, who was actually inside, he perhaps would have moved out. Remember, this is his office. What you're looking behind me is where the Mumbai Police Commissioner actually sits. Now, Param Singh...
It was really last year. Now you have Param Singh saying, even before he could complete his tenure, he has been shunted now as the Director General of Police, looking after the Home Guards. Now the question here is that, look at what the Mumbai Police today is facing right now, some very serious charges. And I can tell you, with utmost sincerity and with some amount of authority, I can tell you when I've spoken to some of the other officers, yes, everyone actually feels saddened when the force which has played a very huge role has now been dragged into this sort of a mess, and a mess that has been created by a controversial cop like Sachin Baze, who has been suspended 17 years. He was not in the service, and for 6 months. For 6 months, this man had actually entered the police force, and look what he has actually done to a force which is largely respected. Mumbai police has been respected by many, but just for the work of a
handful few. Look at what has really happened, and someone has to take the blame for it. Who has to take the blame for it? At the end of the day, was the Mumbai Police Commissioner not really aware of what was actually happening? Now, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that the Assistant Police Inspector Sachin Baze was doing this without anyone knowing anything about it, and that's the reason why today, somewhere down the line, the government, it becomes incumbent on the government to take some action. What has happened today is not a regular transfer that you're looking at. It is because, remember, some very serious allegations have been leveled against the top brass of the Mumbai police, and that is the reason why the Mumbai Police Commissioner, Param Singh, who's behind us, he has been moved out. He has been sent to he's been looking after the home, he'll be looking after the home guards. And on the other hand, you have API Sachin Baze, who is in the NIA custody. But the question, once again, that one has to answer, who was really responsible for this?
Shawan, Aishwarya, I'm coming to you. I want to stay with Shawan because there's some action behind Shawan. We'll go full frame to Shawan. Shawan is outside the Mumbai Police Commissioner's office. Shawan, tell us what's happening there. A lot of activity behind you. Is Param Singh inside? What's going on? We heard that some more officers could be summoned. Who are these officers? And when will they be summoned?
Well, a quick update of what's actually happening right now. I'll just step aside so you can get basically a sense of this is the place where the Mumbai Police Commissioner sits, and we are inside the Mumbai Police headquarters. The orders have just come in. You've had the Maharashtra Home Minister Anil Deshmukh tweeting this about the changes that have been made and what he basically calls a big decision that has been taken by the government. But the big decision only after a lot of pressure was basically put on the government, because at the end of the day, questions have been raised about the unholy nexus between politicians and with that of the police. Now, that's one big allegation that has already been leveled. You've had the opposition party is upping the ante as far as the role of the Assistant Police Inspector is concerned. And then you have also senior police officers. What was their role? And that's the reason why. We have seen in the past, there has been a history as far as Mumbai police transfers are concerned. For very smaller reasons, we have seen Mumbai Police Commissioner being transferred out. This today happens to be rather a bigger issue. Accountability has to be fixed. After all, just an assistant police inspector who actually moved inside this very headquarters, inside a Mercedes-Benz, which did raise a lot of eyebrows as to how exactly did an assistant police inspector...
in a Mercedes Benz, which has now come under the shadow of the National Investigation Agency.
Come under the shadow of the National Investigation Agency. Secondly, when it comes to the Mumbai Police Commissioner, the question here is that was he not aware of what was actually happening just below his nose? Because let me pan around. What you're looking at, this is the very place. This is on the other side is where Assistant Police Inspector Sachin Vaze used to operate out of. And I can tell you this, and a lot of senior officers from the Mumbai Police who've been watching this would actually agree with what I've been saying, because I've spoken to them, that they say this, that here is a man who was suspended from the police, came back within 6 months, destroyed the reputation of rather a police force which was largely respected. And the question is, whose responsibility? Who really brought in Assistant Police Inspector Sachin Vaze? It was, after all, the Mumbai Police Commissioner. Today, accountability has to be fixed. Today, the glory of this particular Mumbai force had to be restored, and that's only possible when some radical changes are made. And today, what you're looking at, unprecedented in one way, is that you've had a sitting police commissioner, even before his tenure is over, he's been moved to rather what is essentially seen not at the best of postings. DG Home Guards is what he'll be looking after, but this after a lot of questions already being raised about the role of Mumbai Police.
I'll tell you the joke this evening, Shavan. Shavan, Rhythm, Abhishek, Aishwarya and Dipti, I'll tell you the joke this evening. And the reason I'm having to say this is because Arnab also spoke about it, right? The silence of the Lutyens media. The joke this evening is that the same channels that use the handouts, the planted stories, and did interviews are today saying that they got the story right. That's the joke this evening, but I want to go across to Rhythm. Rhythm is joining us live. Aishwarya, I'm coming to you next. Rhythm. Okay, Shavan, there's some action behind Shavan, cutting across straight. Shavan coming to you. Go ahead. We'll go full frame to Shavan. Full frame to you. Full frame to Shavan.
Just a minute back, I'll just give you an image of here. What you right now, a while back, we just saw the Joint Commissioner of the Crime Branch, Param, has actually gone, and we are expecting the other joint CPs of the law and order, as well as the economic offences. Joint CPs would perhaps now be going in for rather a final meeting, but a last courtesy call that would be given to the sitting Mumbai Police Commissioner Param Singh, and thereafterwards the handing over will also take place. Perhaps this is going to take place even today, as early as possible. We are expecting perhaps Hemant Nagrale, who's been appointed as the new police commissioner. He's the sitting DGP of Maharashtra, who will be basically taking over as the new Mumbai Police Commissioner. This at a time when you have Param Singh, someone who's been facing some very, very serious allegations today. But just what we saw a while back is the joint CPs now entering the Mumbai Police Commissioner's chamber.